joining. Let's begin. The spate of ritual killings is shocking in the country. Most of the victims were killed, I believe, in a bid for their killers to make money, and one wonders what our society has become and how we can curb these trends. As I understand that the House of Reps in one of its plenary last week debated on about this ugly trend, and most importantly, to censor of movies produced by Nollywood. That's the movie industry, which meaning the reps, the House partly blamed the industry for the menace. Does this solve the problem?
What Nigeria is looking for are varieties of solutions to a Hydra-headed beast. There is no one that has all the solutions captured there.
Oh, seems we have issues with the connection there. In case you just joined us, it is the weekly engagement of Representative Benjamin Okezekalu, where he discusses on several issues bordering on his representation in the National Assembly and, of course, the dividend of democracy to the good people of Abia State. And seems we have glitches with the connection, and we're going to return to him definitely on the program, but I'm going to take a soundbite of a motion of urgent public importance that he moved at the House during plenary last week on the floor of the chamber, where he moved a motion of public importance to address the adverse effect of incessant leakages and explosion from oil fields in the country. Okay, I think we have him back. Yes, can you hear me now?
Yeah, Mike,
okay,
sorry,
great.
The network.
All right.
Yeah, sorry, listeners, for that cut. Yeah, I was saying that in the country at the moment, there is no one-stop shop where all the solutions for our problems are captured. So we look at various options in resolving our Hydra-headed issues. The one that we are faced with at the moment is this issue of ritual killing, which has it's almost becoming a norm. It's supposed to be seen as the attitude of deviance. But society is almost getting comfortable with this trend of event, and it offended the sensibilities of the members of the parliament, who have seen young people especially derailing from the core values of our fathers, the core values of our society. And we needed to rise up to the occasion and point to the right direction for our children to follow. And we found out that the platforms that have offered this wrong, how will I put it, wrong culture to be mostly the media. The media, Nollywood has projected that you can become rich by engaging yourself in ritual killing. And they did not do that just to get more people to, begin to look at that way of life. They did that as a form of entertainment, but obviously it is having a negative impact on the life of our young ones who are the future leaders. I'm needed to call the agencies in charge of clearing, like the clearing house for all these movies, to look at what they are clearing. Go to the what is happening now. I think they should do more. So we raise that, and also the police and other security agencies, for them to, live up to their duties and make sure that this new trend, that we don't allow it to see the light of the day. And there's no other arm of government that is also supposed to raise their voice on this more than the parliament. That was why we took the bull by the horn to raise that. And does it provide all the solution? No, but it has increased the advocacy against it. It has also increased the the orientation. People to begin to when we call out the movie industries, when we condemn it publicly, the younger ones who are copying these erroneously will begin to see that the nation is against it. And we're actually looking at laws that will be more stiff with punishment on this kind of way of life, which is criminal out. Killing is recognized by a criminal law as a crime. So we needed to highlight that. Yeah.
So let's talk about the importation of contaminated petrol into the country, which generated major outburst from
Mike, are you there?
Yes. Can you hear me? I'm here. Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Hello.
Yeah, Mike, I can hear you now.
Okay, great.
I heard what I said.
Yes, I got you very clearly. So let's talk about the importation of contaminated petrol into the country, which generated a major outburst from Nigerians. The current fuel scarcity in Nigeria's major cities on account of petrol high in methanol, which raises questions as sources with knowledge of the quality control process have stated that the batch that came in with impurity takes about 12 minutes for the result to surface when tested in laboratory. Anyways, I understand that the attention of the House was also drawn to this occurrence. So what is the House doing to addressing this issue?
To be honest, I'm proud of the Ninth Assembly, proud in the sense that they are not aloof with regards to the immediate concerns of the people who they are representing. You know, it's one thing to be a member of the parliament. It's another thing to be in touch with the realities that your people face every day. And our current reactions recently has shown that once it is biting the Nigerian people, is biting their parliamentarians. Ritual killing, we just reacted to that, and also this contaminated petrol happened to be a very big national blow. And to keep quiet about it, to pretend as if it's not existent, is to you know, it will be a disservice to people who have elected us with their mandate to be their eyes and their ears to hear things, see things, and speak up for them. So that was why we also raised a motion to that effect, that granted we may not have all the possibilities and the capacities to refine our own oil at the moment, but not concede that the amount we are spending on subsidy PMS. You know, based on that, we frown at the protocols that we are not complied with in the importation of these very substance. And you know, the provision of the Constitution in Section 14 leaves a mandate on government to ensure that we go for safety of lives and properties of citizens of the country. So their cars, our cars, happen to be the properties that the Constitution referred to, and to protect them is also part of our responsibility. And also life, because that particular chemical, we don't even know the medical consequences. If people inhale the carbon that is coming from it, if people touch it, we don't know. We are not chemists, but it was a very wrong move by whoever was instrumented to that. And to find that out, we cannot just take the words of the MD of NNPC, who actually stood up against this, and we commend him for that. But we needed to dig deeper. It is expected that based on Section 88, 89 of the Constitution that gives us the right to investigate during our oversight function, we can call anybody, any organization, and question them on what they have carried out in serving the nation, the kind of services they have rendered to the nation. And in this case, the House moved that the relevant committees of the House, petroleum upstream, petroleum downstream, gas, and all the related committees of the House should have a joint committee that will look into this issue. And that joint committee will be made up of about maybe one person from each geopolitical zone or two persons from each geopolitical zone, and look at how did we get here? Who imported it? How many do we still have left? How many is out? What are the damages for this loss? And bears the damages, the consequences of it, and all that. So we are looking at that. The committee. I'm sure the document will be transmitted to them this week, and they will start sitting as quickly as possible.
Okay. So, in case you just joined us, it is Ben Kalu's mandate, the weekly engagement of Representative Benjamin Kalu with the good people of Abia State, especially Ben, the federal constituency. Of course, Representative Benjamin Kalu is a member of the House of Reps in the 9th National Assembly, representing Ben, the federal constituency, and he's currently the spokesperson of the House and the chairman House Committee on Media and Public Affairs. Now, let's talk about your activities on the floor of the chamber. You moved a motion of urgent public importance to address the adverse effect of incessant leakages and explosion from oil fields in the country. Let's listen to what transpired during the plenary that day. Then I'll get to ask you the resolutions of the House on this issue.
Thank you, distinguished Speaker. The House, aware that an aging tanker built in 1976 capacity to process 22,000 barrels per day and also inject up to 40,000 barrels with water per day, exploded at Obokiti Field in Delta State. Caught fire before sinking off the coast of Nigeria Wednesday, February 2nd, 2021, with 10 people working aboard the vessel reported missing and presumed killed. The House is also aware that gas leakages following an explosion on the Adriatic 1 rig owned by Corn Oil and situated off the Atlantic shores in Sagana had earlier occurred on October 31st, 2021, thereby enabling gas to flow uncontrollably and directly into the communities and surrounding rivers for over 3 weeks. Further aware that in 2027 and 2020, similar things took place in Brass local government, where destruction of aquatic lives took place, and also the community's life was affected. We also concerned that apart from destroying the ecosystem and killing the fishes in the affected places, it is claimed that the health challenges associated with these leakages and explosions are enormous, and the true picture could only be ascertained through adequate laboratory examination. The House is concerned that the report from the International Center for Investigative Reporting have claimed that the explosion alongside many other in the oil-rich Niger Delta region of Nigeria are not unconnected with poor operational safety standard of the vessels and oil facilities. Equally concerned that in a reaction to the incident that occurred in Otua Field, located near Sagama in Brass local government of Bayelsa State on the 2nd of December 2020, the Director General of the National Oil Spill Detection and Response Agency, NOSDRA, rated oil companies for operating in breach of regulatory and safety guidelines. The House is disturbed that findings show that while some oil companies have been previously sanctioned by NOSDRA for degrading the environment, directives given to these companies to contain oil spill by shutting the field down and replacing leaking pipelines are falling on deaf ears. The House is disturbed that further findings have revealed that even though the major causes of these leakages may have been known to, among other factors, result from pressure underwater pipeline that create bubbles on the water surface, the continuous and uncontrolled leakages from the oil fields, the pit companies operating with total disregard to human and environmental safety. The House is further disturbed that the lackadaisical response of most oil companies to incidents of constant leakages and fire outbreaks from explosion does not only undermine the effort of government to provide safety, healthy and clean environment for Nigerians, but also the ideals of corporate social responsibility of companies.
Well, the voice of Representative Benjamin Kalu on the floor of the lower chamber of the National Assembly while moving that motion to address the adverse effect of incessant leakages and explosion from oil fields in the country. Interesting presentation there. But what were the resolutions of the House on this issue on that day during plenary?
Yeah, thank you very much, Michael. If you had played that presentation further, the resolutions would have been highlighted. But let me say this, as I captured in my motion, the health and safety regulation in the country has not been taken seriously as they ought to. And that is why we daily lose lives to lack of, compliance to safety standards and protocols has acknowledged the world over. I'm sure many are not aware that I'm a fellow of the Institute on Safety and safety, health and safety regulations around the globe. I'm sure many don't know that I'm not just a lawyer, that I'm interested in that area of our lives. And I have taken time. We were some of those who influenced the leadership to create a committee that will take care of health and safety regulations in the various private sector and public sector establishments, because research has shown that the internal regulations of agencies, companies, both in the private sector and the public sector, they are thrown to the trash can. They don't pay attention to them. I'll tell you one story where somebody who came to do his industrial attachment at what you call the Industrial Training Fund, the ITF, in one of the organizations in Lagos. You'll be shocked that the gentleman that night was killed by the machine that he was monitoring. Because the health and safety standards of that organization was not in place. The machine ground him. I mean, he was destroyed. He was killed, in a very despicable manner. And Nigerians only had it on the pages of newspaper for a few days, and that was all. And nobody had anything. It was not seen as an accident. And there are so many of such accidents happening every day. If you go to the oil and gas sector, a lot of people are dying. I made reference to some of them. And it was high time we started looking at the implementation of the health and safety policies of these various organizations so that we can continuously save lives of our people. Saving lives, many people are looking at bullets, saving lives, saving people from the bullets of the guns of the banditries, the guns of the kidnappers and all the rest of them. But many Nigerians are dying daily out of carelessness. So I focus on the oil and gas sector and how most of the IOCs have flagrantly, in a lackadaisical manner, ignored the directives of NOSDRA, which is the agency in charge of monitoring, and regulating the space. So the House agreed with me that the Committee on Health and Safety Regulations of the House should investigate these particular incidents. And I joined the petroleum upstream to it. But interestingly, most members of the House saw it as a very credible motion. There was no single dissenting opinion on the motion. Rather, we had a series of amendments to the motion. They were not amending the content of the motion. They were amending only the participation of the relevant committees, like the gas committee wanted to be part of it, like the downstream wanted to be part of it, like the NIMASA wanted to be part of it, and also host community, because the community that is impacted, they are the host community, they wanted to be part of. So at the end of the day, the deputy speaker who was presiding that, they said, well, people are now, it's too many committees that want to come on board. That's to show you the seriousness of the issue, and how topical that particular issue was weighing, and how heavy it was weighing, in the minds of the various representatives. So everybody wanted to be a part of it, and at the end of the day, a joint committee was set up for the House to investigate. And I'm sure the communication also will come out this week for the relevant committees to start looking at that. But it will be headed by the House Committee on health and safety regulations.
Fantastic.
Other committees will join.
All right, that's actually the major work of a lawmaker, tinkering with the law to ensure that it captures everything for the benefit of the masses. Now let's move on. Talk about the.
You can say that again.
Let's talk about the electoral bill. The National Assembly has done as the president requested, but the president is yet to pen his signature to this bill, and there are strong indications that the president is in dilemma over whether to assent or to the re-amended 2010 Electoral Act Amendment Bill 2022. That's 15 days after receiving this bill from the National Assembly. I'm sure you've heard the conversation, what Senator Omowurare said. The presidency also disclosed that the president is in a last-minute consultation with critical stakeholders. Then the Minister of Justice and Attorney General said something, and I'm sure you would like to react to it as you talk about this electoral bill, that the president may withhold assent from this bill if it is considered to have proposals based on personal interest or selfish interest, if we may put it that way. And this bill was put together by stakeholders, including lawmakers. So one will be asking, were there selfish interests beneath the pushing of this bill by the lawmakers?
Thank you very much. I've answered this question severally because the Nigerians seems to, Nigerians are a bit confused with that reaction. If actually he made that reaction, I didn't hear him say it anyway. But if actually he made that reaction, Nigerians have been asking me what I think about that. But before that, the issue of the bill being passed to Mr. President is allowed by our law to correct whatever was raised by the recommitted or retransmitted piece of legislation that did not receive the blessing of the assent of Mr. President. And to prove to Nigerians that we are committed, to prove to Nigerians that we are placing it on the front burner, to prove to Nigerians that we are putting our money where our mouth is, we have pushed it back to the court of the president without wasting time. Whether or not he will sign it today or tomorrow is, it's up to him. The Constitution allows him 30 days to do that. So we are counting the number of days. And what I've heard from the flanks that Mr. President may not be signing it, we don't work with such materials. We don't work with what is said on the streets when it comes to issues like this. Because there is a channel of communication which the Mr. President has always used in communicating to us. So, and we're not going to preempt Mr. President. It will be very wrong of us to preempt the action of Mr. President on the bill that we have sent to him. He knows what to do with the bill, whether it has captured the issues he raised when he presented it to us, which was indirect primaries to be added to the direct primaries. Now we have gone the extra mile of including a third option, which is consensus. If there are other issues and he wants to raise, we transmitted believing that everything has been done. We transmitted that piece of legislation believing that we have captured all the interests that the executive wanted us to capture. But if, should in case there are other issues they want to raise, we are well ready and willing to get it done immediately. As you know, the protocols we have signed, the declaration and all the rest of them, the charter that I've always mentioned on this program with regards to election, which we are signatories to, will not have us do anything within 1 year to the election. It's supposed to be done before 1 year to the election. So time is of the essence now. So we also encouraging Mr. President to get this out of the way, because I know it will definitely be a very good legacy that he will be leaving for the people of Nigeria. Now, talking about the people of Nigeria and the issue of selfish interest versus public interest. As you know, there is nowhere in our constitution or even the House rules or the Senate rules, where selfish interest is part of the raw material that is used by the Parliament in framing a particular piece of legislation. It is not. That is why the Constitution recognizes public hearing, memoranda from people, and our House rule encourages us to have periodically, what we call the public engagement, stakeholders engagement, roundtables to get from the people, town halls, to get from the people, what they think, and to feel the pulse of the people, which will reflect in the spirit of the law that we make for the people of Nigeria. And there is nowhere where selfish interest is accommodated. Actually, democracy does not accommodate selfish interest. That's why I said government of the people, by the people, for the people. You will not say government of the self, for the people and by self. So it's all about the people at the center stage. And when you talk about people, you talk about public interest. So I don't know where that issue of selfish interest is coming from. In defending the House, I must say, also the National Assembly, I must say, the two leadership of this National Assembly, that is the President of the Senate and the Speaker of the House of Representatives with their various leaderships, they have not put themselves forward and their interests forward in any of the draftings that have passed through here. It has always been about the people. And that is why we have the beauty of bicameral legislature, where, if at all, there is any element of self that is injected in any part of the legislation, it will be picked up by the upper house. And if it is done at the upper house, it will be picked up by the House of Representatives as well. So, so it balances the perspective from where things are viewed, and the center point in these perspectives has to be the people. Anything short of the people is not a law meant for the people.
Okay, just before we go for the break, we're due for a break right now. But before we go for that break, I'm forced to ask you this question. Today is day 15 after that piece of legislation was transmitted to Mr. President. Will the House be making any extra efforts this time should the President refuses assent to this bill, to this piece of legislation? Extra effort here in like vetoing Mr. President?
I saw how you struggled to ask that question.
Okay.
Unlike you, Michael, you are not sure of the question. Yes, you are struggling to ask the question. I noticed that. But like I've always said, we cannot preempt the executive. If we do that, we will be entering into the space of the executive, which is against the doctrine of separation of power. If you pass the ball to their court, allow them to dribble as long as they want to dribble, and hopefully wait for them to score the right goal for the people. So if we just go into that space now, we have breached a fundamental principle of the doctrine of separation of power, and that would not augur well with the ethos of democracy. So we will wait, we'll patiently wait. Just like you're waiting, we will not preempt, we will not say he will go right or go right, we will not influence. Last time I was attending a press briefing and the journalist asked me, are you not going to lobby Mr. President to dance to the tunes of the Electoral Act? I said, no, it's not in our place to lobby the presidency. We are 3 arms of government. Though we are 3 arms of government, we are one government. We are actually standing on our right. We are the legislature. There cannot be any democratic government without the legislature. They are the executive. There are, in every democratic climb, you have what they call the lobbies. There are lobbyists who have interest on any piece of legislation, whose job it is to reach out either to the legislature or to the executive. When it is with the legislature, they want it tailored in a particular way because they believe it to be better for the advancement of democracy. So they will come lobbying the legislature to go in that particular direction. And when it passes to the begin to lobby the executive. I'm talking about the civil society organization, CSO. I'm talking about non-governmental organizations. I'm talking about even development partners in the country who could be interested in a particular piece of legislation, and because it is going to enhance their development effort in the country, they will go to the executive and say, move it this way. And in lobbying, they might even put a condition. If you want us to do this 1, 2, 3, 4 with the country, we want you to do 1, 2, 3, 4 with regard to this legislation. It's part of lobbying. It's not our duty. If we do that, we have interfered, and there is no interference allowed. The doctrine of suppression of power.
Interesting. Perhaps that question is coming from that journalist, from the line of thought that this is a fight between the governors and the lawmakers before the primary election.
I don't think so. I don't think so. I don't think we are fighting with the governments.
Okay.
people just want to hit our head against the governors. We're not fighting against the governors. Just like me, I don't have any APC governor in Abia State. The governor of Abia State is PDP. So am I fighting with him with regards to the legislation? I'm not fighting with him. I'm in a very good relationship with my governor, and I can pick his brain like I always do. Most of the work we do here, I pick his brain as my governor, as a major stakeholder. I'll say, Oga, what do you think about this? What is your opinion about this? I mean, some motion that will move, I pick the brain of the governor. Governor, what is your position on this? Governor will give me his position. I will marry with my own opinion and the opinion of the stakeholders from my constituency, because that is what representation is all about. You don't alienate the governor of your state. You are not a governor. By being a House of Rep member or a senator, you are not a governor. There is a governor that is in charge of that area.
Okay.
If there's anything that borders on what will affect the lives of people around there, you consult the stakeholders administration list, who have various traditional rulers, who have faith-based organizations, who have civil society organizations, who have political leaders, and also who have people like the serving political leaders. And you don't say because he's not a member of your party, you cannot consult him. No, I consult my governor, even though he's not a member of my party, for the purpose that he's sitting there, not for PDP alone, he's sitting there for the state. So it's not a fight between the legislature and the governor. It's just a fight to defend the interests of the masses. This is what the people want. And you know it, Mike. You know it. That's what people want.
Okay. We need to take a break now. When we return, we'll continue the conversation, especially the biggest story to this morning, the Federal University of Medical and Health Sciences, of course, in Bend. I know you're waiting for that one. We have a news for you concerning that piece of legislation to bring into reality that institution. It is Ben Kalu's mandate. Right here on Flow 94.9 FM. We take a break now. When we return, the conversation continues.
Is Benjamin Okeze Carlo, representing the good people of Bende Federal Constituency. I am from Abia State. Arise.
From the hallowed chambers, his voice resonates crystal clear.
You say you shared money recently, and I represent the constituency, and there are 360 of us, and all of them are saying we are not feeling the impact.
He's the unmistaken voice of Undi Bende and the image maker of the House of Representatives.
Swept away houses and roads in communities like Mpa, Umimenyi, Uzitem, and Bende. Mr. Speaker,
he's a committed, courageous, articulate, and deeply impassioned lawmaker with the plight of his constituents.
Joining me now on the political segment is Honorable Benjamin Kalu, who's the spokesman of the House of Representatives.
Ben Kalu's mandate gives you first-hand information on the activities of the member representing the good people of Bende Federal Constituency at the House of Representatives, Honorable Benjamin Kalu, as well as his position on national issues. Ben Kalu's mandate.
Distinguished Speaker, the House, aware that an aging tanker built in 1976, capacity to process 22,000 barrels per day and also inject up to 40,000 barrels with water per day, exploded at Obokiti Field in Delta State. Caught fire before sinking off the coast of Nigeria Wednesday, February 2nd, 2021, with 10 people working aboard the vessel reported missing and presumed killed. The House is also aware that gas leakages following an explosion on the Adriatic 1 rig owned by Corn Oil and situated off the Atlantic shores in Sagana had earlier occurred on October 31st, 2021, thereby enabling gas to flow uncontrollably and directly into the communities and surrounding rivers for over 3 weeks. Further aware that in 2027 and 2020, similar things took place in Brass local government, where destruction of aquatic lives took place, and also the community's life was affected. We also concerned that apart from destruction.
Very much for staying tuned. Still Ben Kalu's mandate, the weekly engagement of Representative Benjamin Kalu with the good people of Abia State, especially Bende Federal Constituency. Of course, you know, Representative Benjamin Kalu represents Bende Federal Constituency at the House of Representatives. Let's move on now. Talk about the Constitution review. Maybe you should bring us up to speed if there are any updates on the ongoing review of the Constitution.
Yeah, I must say, Mike, thank you for raising that. I must say that the speed with which this committee charged with our Constitution is approaching this is amazing and equally commendable. I must say so, because the chairman of that particular committee, the House of Rep, Deputy and that of the Senate, the Deputy Senate President, they have shown tremendous speed and competence in handling this. As we speak, the committee have done harmonization of the various positions of the two chambers, and you know, after the harmonization last weekend, starting from Friday, they had a retreat which included reaching out to the 36 speakers of various houses of assembly across the nation to be able to get their input. So, because it's expected by the Constitution that the input of the speakers of the House of House of Assembly will also be captured in the course of doing that. So, the speed is very good. Our timetable currently shows that at the end of February, we will be laying the report on this. You know, okay. We'll be laying the report on this to enable Nigerians know how far we have gone with it. So, and if we're able to achieve that, that will be tremendous. And it's bringing a lot of blessings into the space. You know, like let me give you an example. You see, judges are going to be retiring now at 70. Though they still have the option to retire at 65, but they will not be going home too early with their wealth of experience and leaving piles of work in various courts, you know, undecongested. So there's a lot of benefit coming up. Time will not allow me to do this. Maybe we'll take a section one of these days to discuss the input that is being captured by the Constitution Review Committee. Okay, yeah.
Let's talk about the one that will affect your constituents directly, or more like a direct impact through your representation. The people of Item in Bende local government are set to become host community to a federal university. The bill to establish the Federal University of Medical and Health Sciences, sponsored by you, has passed 8th second reading. That was last week, Thursday to be precise. How do you feel about it? It's a big news, it's a good one, and what are the next stages and your level of optimism for this bill to becoming a reality?
Thank you, Mike. It's beyond being optimistic. It is a product of needs analysis. And let me say this, the people of Item, they are huge. Item is supposed to be it's big enough to be one local government. Just like you have a bar and all that, you know, huge communities. And I must give it to them, to any of them listening now. I am so grateful. Item people voted for me massively. In fact, they had the highest number of votes, you know, based on their population in my last election. And I'm not doing this just because they voted for me, but the love they have for democracy, the love they have for good leadership, the love they have for demystify, simplify leadership, and the love they have for education. And my interest in attracting these to people of Item is not for Item only, it's for Abia State. It's for Bende people. It's also another way of assisting the government of Abia State. If you look at other regions, you see a lot of federal institutions springing up here and there. In Igbo we say, those people who pack the soup into their mouth, now their mother cook up. Is it their mother that cook the soup? This is a national cake. And if you are distributing the facilities, the infrastructures, the institutions, it must be in line with the spirit of federal character. I came to the house and I noticed that my people has been changed with regards to federal institutions for donkey years. And we have enough capacity to sustain such institutions in our place. So why not go for it? I don't have to be a member of the House for 2 tenors, 3 tenors, 4 tenors before I take these giant steps. I am part of what is happening in the National Assembly. I'm occupying a key position in the National Assembly. So why not leverage that for the benefit of my people? And if you look around Abia State, you find out that we don't have a specialized university taking care of health and medical sciences. And I've been fighting. Very soon you're going to hear I'm also fighting for Michael Okpara University to become a conventional university instead of restricting us just to agriculture. Others are arguing I should go for another university. That is, we are thinking about all those, anything that will help our state, because you see, in this age of brain drain, where medical doctors, because they are not well paid, are leaving the country in droves, we need to bridge the gap by training specialized, using specialized institutions to train quality medical doctors. That was why I went for this. July last year, it was the first reading. I've been fighting, and luckily enough, it came for second reading. I defended it. It was bought by the House that we needed something like that. And the next is for me to push with the relevant committees for it to go for third reading by the grace of God, because it's not about politics. I'm not doing it for politics. I'm doing it because we really need it, and it will help our place, it will help our state, it will help our people in the Southeast. So, but you see, while others failed in the time past, was not because they were not willing to push it forward, but you see, it takes more than one person. I'll get people like Governor T.A. I get people like Senator Baribe, because it's coming to our state. I'll ask them to give their blessings at the Senate. That is how you lobby. You don't discriminate when it comes to things like this. You say, this person is not a member of my party. That is my own philosophy in politics. So I'll go beg this elder statesmen who are in the Senate and say, this will help our state, so let's push for it. We'll push for it, and then I'll go to presidency and begin to lobby, because I'm part of the ruling party. I have passed into the presidency. I can lobby at the presidency level to make sure that they receive the nod of Mr. President before he leaves office. So these are the two institutions we're pushing. There's a third one that is going to Ibere that we're also pushing for. It has gone through first reading. It's going to come up any moment, or anytime, in the near future, for it to go for second reading, and by the grace of God, we'll also push it through. If we bring in all these institutions, it means that this budget of the Federal Republic, when it is being shared, some will be allocated to Abia to service those institutions. It will create employment for our people. It will reduce the unemployment rate. It will stimulate the economy of our people. It will reduce the burden on the state. And so the multiple effect, positive effect is enormous, and it will trickle down to all facets of our economy. So I'm happy about it. I'm happy about it, and I can tell you, people all over the world are happy about it. They just invited me in the United States. The ITEM Development Association in the United States, they're inviting me for their national convention. They are so happy with what we achieve with education around ITEM and around Bende. And they want to, have an engagement with me. And I might be going there to interact with them. And those in Europe are calling all over the world. People are happy with what we're doing. We may not have money. We may not have money to share vehicles or buy people suits or give people pocket money or do all those things. But we are trying to leave things legacies that will, that everybody will benefit from.
All right.
Let me stop there so that we can engage with our people.
Definitely very important. 0808 182 6949. 0811 605 2949. Also drop messages on 0906 510 8289. It is Ben Kalu's mandate, the weekly engagement of Representative Benjamin Okezekalu with the good people of Abia State. Yes, glad to have you join us. What's your name?
It's Austin. I'm calling from Austin, Jamaica.
All right, Austin, you're welcome.
Honorable, good morning, sir. Honorable, good morning, sir.
Go on, Austin. He can hear you.
I'm also happy. I'm so happy for what you are doing in Echem. Pushing your
Austin?
Happy for bringing. I'm so happy for bringing Federal University of. I'm so happy for bringing Federal University of Science and Health in Echem. That will be enable us to get more jobs and health in Bende, especially in other states. I'm so happy, sir. May God continue to bless you and your family, sir.
All right. Thank you, Austin, for making it short. Hello. Yes. What's your name?
Hi, good day, Mark.
You're welcome. What's your name, please?
My name is John Godwin across the border.
All right, Donald.
Good day, Honorable.
Ask them to reduce their radio. They should use their radio.
Hello, Mike. Are you hearing me?
Yes, go on, please.
Oh, they have
They
should be far from the radio.
I'm far from the radio, half of the radio, sir. What I'm trying to say is, we also have the kind of showing to our people in Benden, other constituency and other states at large. The young man is doing very, very much in the state, the government, and the Federal Republic of Nigeria. People to emulate from him the kind of politics he showed to our people in Abia here. He's not a kind of person. Either he's from APC or PDP or whatever. So, reference what protection and over there to Abuja there. We thank God for other things he has been doing, and so promises he has been made. He has really understand so that other things have been going. Some projects still continue.
All right, Donald. All right, thank you very much. He's going to respond to you. He spoke about people should emulate your kind of politics, goes beyond the political parties. Hello, yes, what's your name?
Hello.
You're welcome. What's your name? Where are you calling from? Good morning.
Awakalu. Hello?
Yes, Mr. Awakalu, go on with your contribution, please.
Yeah, thank you. I'm calling from Colony. Michael, good morning.
You're welcome. We can hear you loud and clear. Please go on with your contribution.
Honorable, good morning. Please,
Good.
ride on. Your work is speaking for you. I'm calling on behalf of the governing community. For a year and now, more than getting to 2 years, we have no light in Colony. We are living in darkness. Remember, we have motherless here, we have the leprosy people, we have other activities.
I'm not hearing them.
We have no light. Please, can you come and help us over this place?
Where again? Where is that?
Colony, leprosy center, where we have leprosy center and motherless people.
All right. Did you get that, Representative?
No, somehow I'm not hearing them today.
Okay, where did you?
I'm not making it.
Okay, where?
I say I'm coming from Colony.
Okay.
Precisely.
Okay. All right.
We also have the motherless children there and other activities that's going on in the center. We have no light for more than 1 year now.
All right.
We are living in darkness. Please,
all right. If you can also send a message, I will appreciate. Hello. Good morning.
Yeah, good morning, Michael.
You're welcome.
Good morning, Honorable Benjamin Carlo. It's Alvan. I'm calling you from Bend. I know he's listening. I must commend Honorable Benjamin Carlo for what he did in the different parts of Bend, especially in my own community, Bend town. The road connecting Amogbo to Njoko, then connecting Bend Grammar School to almost internal roads in Bend community. So we are very grateful. And yesterday, I visited the site where they are doing the solar mini grid station. I'm happy the panels have been laid So I want Honorable to give us an update on that. And again, we tried so much to restore electricity in Bende. Unfortunately, when he left, those people have failed to supply us with that. But we are hoping if that solar will finish, I think it will help us a lot. So we commend him and pray that he continue to do what he's doing. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you. Hello, good morning to you. Keep your calls coming and your messages coming. Chinedu Okafo says, Honorable Ben Kalu, you're doing well. Teach your colleagues in Abia the administrative magic that has been working for you. This is not about the political party one belongs, but the individual political will to serve the people. Thank you. And this one says, without a name, Honorable, God bless you for me on your good work towards Bende as local government. I do really love your way of life. Thank you for that. And hello, welcome. You're welcome to Ben Kalu's Mandate.
Hello, good morning, Mr. Mike.
Good morning.
Good morning, Honorable. This is Mr. Chief calling from Bende, Umori precisely, sir. Mr. Mike, I just want to appreciate our Honorable member towards his quest to the plight of his people in the federal constituency. As I always say, he has been the best representative ever, and we will be always praying for him, for God to grant him more wisdom, favor, and more open doors to all the departments that he will approach for projects. They will approve it and give it to him. We say may God bless him, especially for the Federal University of Medical and Technology that he is planning to bring to the people of Item. Not just for the people of Item, Bende and Abia State in general. I say this is a good step and a good move in the right direction. I pray that God will bless him. Honorable, thank you. We'll keep on praying for you and we appreciate you. Thank you, sir. And God bless you, sir.
All right. Thank you very much. We do appreciate you. Keep your calls coming. Let's take two more calls before he responds to your comments and your contribution. Glad to have you join us. What's your name?
My name is Kano Ozamba from Chukwuka.
You're welcome, Mr. Kano.
Thank you. My question is, already we have a law against ritual killing. On the other hand, we call it murder. Why establishing another law instead of backing the existing one? We can create a special court to try them. That's my suggestion. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you. And let's take this. Glad to have you join us. What's your name? That place is noisy. Yes, thank you.
This is Victor Emmanuel. In the book, I'm calling from Amekibe.
All right.
Yes, I want to appreciate the effort that Honorable Benjamin Kalu is making in the Federal House of Representatives. I thank him so much for drawing the attention of Nigerian government to Abia State. Let him continue to do that. God will bless him. And for drawing attention on the area of medicine, I want him to equally draw the attention of the federal government in terms of technology, because our people here have that know-how. Let them attack something. Let's have something like a meteorological institute where machine parts can be turned out. We will have something like Japan in Abia State.
All right.
If he's able to do that, I want to encourage him to continue to be doing what he's doing.
All right. Thank you very much. We do appreciate that. Let me allow him respond to the questions and the contributions on the show at this hour.
Yeah. Thank you, Mike. Thank you, listeners, especially those who called in. The lines were a little epileptic. I think it was at the ending part of it that I got to hear you better than when we commenced this engagement with callers. Ozamba mentioned something about let me start with the last person. I can't remember his name, that was saying that it's good also for us to look at having technology institute or school in Abia, and also looking at meteorological. So it's a good suggestion, I must say. I think
Well, that sort will be around our bar area, and we'll work towards that with other members of the House, so that we'll see what we'll do about that. The other one was Ozamba, who said, yes, there is ritual killing. There's a law on that. Why don't we open a special court? A very good idea. The purpose of having this radio conversation is to have a feedback platform to get what people think about any step we are about to take. Don't think you are wasting it. Most of your comments are documented. As I'm having this program, sometimes the speaker tunes in to listen to your conversation. The Speaker of the House of Representatives listens to this conversation and makes notes. The clerk makes notes. The people in my office, they make notes and will submit reports on each of our radio engagements with names and callers and all that. Don't think you're wasting it. You are being part of those who formulate policies for the country, and your input is not thrown to the trash can. So, very nice suggestion, and thank you.
Can you hear me? Oh, seems we lost connection. Anyways, that's how far we can go today on Ben Kalu's mandate. Hopefully, unfortunately, it couldn't wrap up. But that, of course, on behalf of Representative Benjamin Kalu, the member representing Bende Federal Constituency, the spokesperson of the House of Reps, and of course, the member of his media team, we do appreciate you for joining us on this edition of the program. The program returns next week, and your questions and contributions will be revisited, of course, as we have it documented. Also, the visual version of this program, the well documented, and he will revisit your questions and answer them. Thank you very much for joining us this week on Ben Kalu's Mandate. Do enjoy the rest of your week and your day. My name is Michael Oni.